NVIDIA Pascal was launched in May, and as of today the GPU family counts 5 members. The Titan X offers the most horsepower, but it's so expensive that it's not being sold here in Poland. The less expensive GTX 1080 costs over $700, which is still far from being affordable. Next in line, the GTX 1070 retails for around $500, which is still kinda expensive. And that's how we get to the GTX 1060, which seems to be the sweet spot when it comes to performance per dollar ratio. Costing a little under $300, it's capable of playing any game at Full HD, and even ultra-wide resolutions are pretty playable. One of the representatives of this species is the ZOTAC GTX 1060 AMP edition. It's my very first GPU review, so please bear with me. ZOTAC GTX 1060 AMP is packed in a rather good-looking box, dominated by grey and yellow with a touch of green. The box lists everything the card has to offer, and there's quite a bit of that. ZOTAC AMP features 1280 CUDA cores, 6 gigs of DDR5 memory running at 4 GHz. The GPU operates at 1556 MHz, which boosts to 1771. AMP has 3 display ports 1.4, 1 HDMI 2.0B, and a single DLDVI. The PCB is quite small, with a heatsink fan protruding less than 1 cm on the longer edge and about 3 cm on the short end. The entire contraption is reasonably small, and you shouldn't have problems fitting it in any computer case. The cooling solution comprises 2 8mm diameter heat pipes, densely thinned radiator, and 2 fans which come to full stop when the GPU is idling, which prolongs their lifespan and makes the entire computer quieter. There's the ZOTAC logo on the shroud, which surprisingly is not lit with LEDs. But this doesn't bother me at all, as I'm not a big fan of RGB lighting. The only thing missing is the backplate, but since the card isn't all that big, it would only be for aesthetic reasons. Card must be connected to the power supply using 8-pin auxiliary connector, and ZOTAC recommends units rated at least 400 watts. GTX 1060 AMP was tested in a rather claustrophobic environment of the Dr. Zomber's Centurion Mini ITX case, and it was complemented by the Intel Core i5-6500 CPU, 8 gigs of Kingston Fury RAM, served on the ASRock H110M ITX motherboard. The cooling system was quite efficient, and even in such harsh conditions it didn't get all that loud. I benchmarked the card using 3DMark, Unigine Valley Benchmark, GTA 5, Witcher 3, and Gears of War 4. The TimeSpy test at my monitor's native resolution was very choppy, and the overall score was 32-34 points. As the resolution decreased, the score was getting higher, hitting 65-54 at full HD res. Next synthetic benchmark, Unigine Valley at 3440 by 1440 got 54.6 FPS. 580 pixels an hour image was rendered at 71.4 FPS, while the classic 1080p ran at 104 frames per second. GTA 5 benchmark at high details at 1440p ultra-wide ran at a little over 60 FPS. Narrower image rendered at 82.6 frames per second. Ultra-wide 1080p scored 94.2 FPS, while the good old 1920 by 1080 ran at a little over 102 FPS. Witcher 3 at very high settings rendered native resolution of my monitor at 42 frames per second. Lower resolution ran obviously better, hitting almost 79 FPS at full HD. Gears of War 4 at max settings ran at 53 FPS at the highest resolution. Lowering the resolution to 2560 by 1440 increased the FPS count by 14. Ultra-wide 1080 ran at 81.3 FPS, and not so much ultra-wide 1080p scored 96.6 FPS. Using the ZOTAC Firestorm, I managed to overclock the GPU to 2000 MHz and the memory to 4300. At ultra-wide 1440p, 3DMark score has increased to 3468, Valley Benchmark ran 4 FPS faster, Witcher 3 gained 5 FPS, while the GTA 5 ran 6 FPS faster. I personally like the ZOTAC GTX 1060 AMP edition. As more of a console gamer, I'm used to the graphics being rendered at 30 FPS, so for me even the ultra-wide 1440p resolutions were playable. At lower resolutions, the card should easily satisfy the needs of competitive gamers. Now I got a question. What did I do wrong? Maybe there's a title that I should include in the benchmarks? Please let me know so my next video card review can be better. If you like this video, you know what to do. I honestly don't know how this affects my YouTube stats, but it surely motivates me to make more videos. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.